Hey y'all, it's Ask Dr. Kirk time, episode 15. Our question today comes from Todd in Lumber City. And Todd writes, hey Todd, what's up? Todd writes, Dr. Kirk, I'm a type 2 diabetic and I'm trying to find the right artificial sweetener to substitute for sugar. Which is the best? Big topic, Todd. Thank you for the question. I actually wrote some notes here today because this is such a big topic. But the most important thing for me to get at is, remember, sugar in and of itself is not evil. So I don't want you guys to necessarily vilify that. Now, our friend Todd here has diabetes, and y'all diabetics know that we have to be very cognizant about your sugar intake, and things need to be, regulated and controlled and make sure that we're being responsible. However, I don't want anybody to necessarily make the mistake of vilifying sugar in and of itself. Our bodies run off of glucose. And so the things that end in ose, you're going to have as being your sugar. So you're going to see things like fructose, maltose, galactose. The one that you're mostly familiar with is the one called glucose. So on a cellular level, everything that we put in our mouth, everything that our body consumes, whether you're talking about proteins, carbohydrates, fats, whatever, our body converts that in God's awesome design into glucose, which is the thing that powers our cells. So that's the fuel for our cells, okay? So sugar is a very necessary thing. It's what our system runs on. And we're going to get that from the foods that we eat. So what is our problem? Our problem is that we, as Americans, or excuse me, as human beings, I don't mean to just be, cultural centric like that and just say Americans, but everybody overindulges. Now, my statistics are on the United States. So the American Heart Association, did you know, only recommends that males have 36 grams of sugar per day to stay healthy. Women is actually 25. So if we want to convert that into something, Dr. Kirk, simple. So 36 grams for a male, that's about 9 teaspoons of sugar. Females, it's about 6 teaspoons. So that's hard to tell because we're not just doing teaspoons of sugar and stuff. Sugar is contained in a lot of the foods we have, so we have to be very careful on how we calculate that. But even though you might get lost in those numbers, the most important thing for me to tell you is, here's our recommendations at 36 grams of sugar a day for a male. Do you know what the American average is a day of sugar? 68 grams. We're supposed to have only 36 for a male. We average about 68. That's awful. It's about double what we should do. Did you know that if you just did that and did nothing, had no physical activity, and just sat on the couch, that much sugar would end up equal to 20 pounds of weight gain for that year? That's pretty awful. Now, luckily, we are busy bees and we are running around and everything. So, we overindulge, and that's our problem. So that's our big sin, y'all, is that we overindulge, and that leads to health issues. So when you do overdo that, of course, you can lead to things like obesity, but remember that also can equal heart disease. Oh my gosh, all kinds of neuropathic issues. I should also say dental disease. My buddy who's a dentist is always riding me for not including that part. I get you. I see you. So yes, sugar has all sorts of ramifications in heart disease, stroke. It adds so much because, obesity comes with that hand in hand. You're going to have all sorts of health issues, right? So, the substitution of sugar, you have to be very careful because there's a whole lot out there. So, somebody might say, wait, Dr. Kirk, I thought these artificial sweeteners are all bad for you. And I say, whoa, back up. I didn't say that now. Put it in reverse, Terry. Let me tell you that there are some great substitutes that we can do. We just have to be careful. Everything has pros and cons, okay? And like King Solomon taught us, everything in moderation, right? So let's go by that. So I have some notes here. First, there's categories here. So natural sugars or natural substitutes for sugar. These are the things like people using honey, people using agave, people using maple syrup, and these kind of things. Those still have some glycemic effect. So one thing you may have heard as a diabetic is something called the glycemic index. Something that you put in your body is going to have a certain glycemic index, okay? A glycemic index, again, keeping it Dr. Kirk simple, is just when you put that thing in your mouth, how much is it going to spike your blood sugar, and how much does your body have to react to bring that blood sugar down? So giving a big old, you know, my biochem teacher is absolutely wanting to punch me, oversimplifying it like that. But again, he also wanted to punch me while I was in his class. So I see you, Dr. Phillips. The glycemic index is how much it's going to make your blood sugar go crazy before your body has to kind of deal with it. It's just the simple way we'll put it. The bad thing about these natural ones to use as a substitute, Todd, is that if you use honey or you use maple syrup or use agave, understand it still does have some effect on your blood sugar. So it's still going to have a glycemic index, and that may be individual to you on how it affects your system. So if you're going to go forward with one of those, you do have to be very careful and monitor your blood sugars on what it does for you. But you can use them. So the pros of you using them is, like everybody feels safe with something that's natural, something that God made. You're super happy with that. So that may be what fits your bill. The next category is unnatural things, or artificial things, I should say. This is the one that I have to be super, super careful on what you're listening to. Okay, so these are the ones we're talking about. The ones you've heard about. You know, your Splenda, your NutraSweet, your Sweet and Low, your saccharin, all these kind of things that are artificial, meaning not made naturally. This is made in a lab somewhere. Why we have to be careful on those is because there is a ton of misinformation out there. Understand, we are talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry that really loves going back and forth on each other. And they know you, and they know that just like most Americans, you read things on your social media feed and you just read that and you don't even click on it to look at the study or look into it at all. You just see something that says Splenda's gonna kill your grandma. And if you actually clicked on that thing, it may be some weird little non-statistical, has hardly any kind of validity or reliability study that was made by Mr. NutraSweet, who wants you to buy their product. But you didn't see that because you didn't click on it. And all you're going to do is go to your people and you're going to share and you're going to say, you know what, Splenda tried to kill my grandma, or whatever. Be super careful. This is a business that knows how to manipulate you. So you need to know what's the truths about things. There are pros and cons of these artificial sweeteners. Saccharin is probably the one that got vilified the most from those studies from a long time ago, where they thought that there was some cancer-causing stuff in lab rats. I will tell you, interestingly enough, if you take that study and extrapolate how much they were giving those rats to human beings, it's like we would have to, I think my professor said you'd have to eat like a wheelbarrow full of saccharin every day in order to get those same numbers. So I think just about anything's going to cause you health issues if you eat a wheelbarrow of it. So be careful on how you're looking at these things. Of those, the pros of those artificial things is that it is sweeter. It's actually sweeter than sugar. So when you're flavoring things or cooking with them, you don't have to use as much, which is kind of cool. The cons of those is, of course, you do need to look at some health issues. Now, there's a whole lot out there on, you know, what is it doing to your system, and is there mental health things in here and that kind of stuff. Golly, please, let's talk about those individually with your healthcare provider. Come see me. We'll talk about this kind of stuff because there's a whole lot out there that is not true. There's a whole lot of there that's very misleading. So it does take some education to kind of comb through the actual studies of these things. Of those, I would say Splenda. Sucralose is what Splenda is. Sucralose is a sugar molecule that they just simply flipped. Well, they added a chlorine group instead of a hydroxyl group. I'm sorry, Dr. Phillips. I'm trying to make this simple. Anyway, they just monkeyed with the molecule where it still tasted like sugar. In fact, a little bit sweeter than sugar, but the body didn't know how to digest it right, so it just passes. So it doesn't absorb like that. So Pretty cool stuff, and it's great to cook with. Now, everybody's individual, but right now, Dr. Kirk says out of those, I'm a big Splenda fan, and that's a personal one. So I'm not being paid by Mr. Splenda or anything unless he wants to. You listening, Mr. Splenda? There's a little separate category I do need to talk about: sugar alcohols. So that's your things you might have heard of, like xylitol, erythritol, sorbitol. You'll see these in candies and a lot of gums, and some sweets. Those are sugar alcohols. So the way that that is made, just know this, the pros and cons of the sugar alcohols like sorbitol and these kind of things is they do cause a good bit of bloating and diarrhea in some people that are insensitive, and we can't predict who's going to be. You just have to take it, and you all of a sudden, if you're spending a lot of time on the toilet, that's not something that your body likes. Also, I should say in the sugar alcohols, I can't remember which one it is, so y'all look this up, but sorbitol, I want to hear this in the comments. Erythritol, one of those, xylitol, I can't remember. One of them, and my veterinary friends, is dangerous for pets to consume. So you don't want your dog eating some of that out of your trash. So if you got a bunch of dogs and everything, or pets around that can get a hold of it, probably don't want to use the sugar alcohols. Now, the novel ones, I put this kind of a separate category, but this really cool stuff is stuff that is derived. It's natural somewhat, but it also kind of got monkeyed with just a little bit. But stuff like stevia, which actually comes from a shrub, and is known as being really, really sweet, as well as the cool new one is monk fruit. Monk fruit is being used as a sweetener and has turned out to have no glycemic index. Oh, I should say the artificial sweeteners also don't have a glycemic index, doesn't make these big spikes, which is a great pro. Those, unfortunately, the monk fruit and the stevia, also some people are sensitive to. And again, I don't know. You just got to try them, and you got to see if it gives you end up gas and bloating, which some people get with that. And there is some studies that say that it might actually imbalance your good and bad bacteria inside your stomach. So there's pros and cons with all of these things. So I guess if I was going to say, if I was going to, out of those categories, rank one, I'm going to rank Dr. Kirk's personal ones. It's out of the natural ones, honey. Out of the artificial ones, I'm going Splenda. This is me personally again. Out of the novel ones, monk fruit is just awesome. I really haven't read a whole lot that has been a downside of that, except for if it disagrees with your stomach, in which cases that's a shame, because monk fruit's really sweet and doesn't cause any big old glycemic spike, which is really cool. Now, what is the take home from all of this? Because this got really long, and I'm sorry. The big take home from this is, even though I'm telling you Dr. Kirk's personal ones that I'm consuming myself, everybody is different. And this needs to be catered to you with help of your primary care physician. So Todd, the answer to your question, which is the best sweetener out there, we got to figure it out for you, man. And we got to figure out what's the correct thing for you that does not disagree with you. We got to outweigh those pros and those cons, and we got to put them on a cost benefit ratio for you. And that's the job that your awesome primary care people do. They are absolutely my favorite people in the healthcare world, and I'm a huge advocate of those primary care folks. They have a hard job, man, and they don't get praised enough, honestly. So family physicians, nurse practitioners, PAs, anybody that's doing the primary care thing, man, I love you so much. You're doing God's work, truly. So I hope this helps. Todd in Lumber City, thank you for the question on artificial sweeteners. Good luck to you, man. Y'all call me if you need me. I can try to sort through some of these other things. Just be very careful, guys, because the misinformation out there is huge, and they want your dollars, and so don't get tricked. As the great Mark Twain said, there's three kinds of lies in this world: lies, damned lies, and statistics. Be careful. So anyway, this was Ask Dr. Kirk. please, let's have it down in the comments. Like and share this video. Love y'all. Mean it. Jesus loves you. I'll see you next time. Ciao.